All right, guys, thanks for joining today. We're going to talk about a topic that personally I love, and I know that Seth loves, and basically every 90s kid loved Kevin Garnett, right? The kid,
The big ticket.
the big ticket. So Garnett had an incredible shoe history, a lot of it with Nike, a lot of it with other companies, a lot of controversies. Maybe we won't get into those as much, but we're going to stick it with we're going to stick with the Nike era for Kevin Garnett here. So Garnett wore a lot of stuff when he came in the league, right?
Mhm.
Remember he wore Concord, he wore the Air Max Up Tempo, one of my favorite shoes.
Airway up. I believe he wore the
Yeah,
way ups.
Airway Up. The tempos he wore were Team Bank colorways. Some of them, it's incredible shoes. And then he was the 10th athlete for Nike to get a signature shoe. So his signature shoe was the Garnett One, which we have in front of us. So Seth, why don't you show us this field green?
Yeah. And quick nod to the Jumpman Pro as well during his Starbury dynamic duo days as well. But nonetheless, Kevin is met him. I met him once many years ago when he signed just prior to joining the Boston Celtics. Hall of Famer, NBA champion, uh, great defensive player. His attitude and blue collar work ethic, I'm sorry, that's one of the all time greats. I loved his pregame routine when he would like bang his head against underneath the backboard. Like he brought it every night. Small town guy from Maudlin, South Carolina, and worked his way up, Farragut Academy, Chicago. Came onto the scene and he really made a claim in the ground, a stake in the ground, so to speak, in terms of his attitude and presence, and really turned Minnesota into a basketball market. That's my little spiel, but I hold KG very high in my heart and in my mind, and so I'm really excited to do this part with Bijan. We have a few very special pairs here, so let's start off. When we talk about like signature lines, um, KG, it's like an enigma, depending on who you ask. But I absolutely love the KG one. I think it's one of. I'm sorry, I think it's one of the best initial, original, first signature models. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I've been wrong before. As Charles Barkley said, I might be wrong, but I doubt it. But my understanding, and we're going to talk about because I love giving shout outs and talking about the history. But my understanding is Aaron Cooper designed the Garnett one, but perhaps there could be. Okay, all right.
Garnett One was designed by Eric Avar and Tate Querbis. And I know
Okay,
that actually because Aaron Cooper told me directly.
got it.
So it's a funny story. I showed him this PE pair when I got it, and he made a comment that made me think like, oh, maybe he didn't design it. So I said, I thought you designed this, and he said, no, I didn't. And we were talking about it again at a later date. He told me that Tate Querbis and Eric Avar did the Garnett one. So I think the GR colors on this shoe are great. Personally, my favorite one is this navy and I believe it's field green.
This is the debut original. I'm learning. I don't know everything. I'm still learning. I learn a lot from Bijan. I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy doing this with him. Not only is he a good friend of mine, but I don't know everything. I know what I know. I'm always trying to learn. Um, the KG1, I mean, when you talk about like tumbled leather, when you talk about premium construction, this is 97, 98 basketball. This is Nike basketball running on all cylinders at its peak performance. You had all the chefs and cooks in the kitchen, and KG was fully established at that time. He was a force to be reckoned with. Minnesota was on the map, and this did a great job in terms of capturing his persona. Visible heel, encapsulated forefoot, which is your typical, as Bijan says, dogma of the era. And again, premium materials and construction, and a little nod to KG with his name on the pull tab. This model has not been retroed, and I don't think it ever will be. And if it were, there would be copyright issues involved. But this is a very beautiful aesthetic. A lot of people on social media have posted their pairs over time. And it's nice to see that other people remember and do have love for the debut KG1 Garnett signature. So that's how we're going to start it off. And I see that we have a couple of other pairs you want to go into.
Oh yeah, we'll get to them. I want to say something about this. The green color on the midsole, and actually the metallic sort of paint that they used on these is probably my favorite feature of the shoe. The field green is a great color. You don't see it very often in Nike shoes, actually. So yeah, this is probably my favorite actual colorway. Garnett for all three of the colorways that you see here. All of them had number 21 on them, and this is an example of a pair here that was made for Kevin Garnett, his size, which I believe is 15. Yeah. And these were sourced locally, actually. So I found somebody who had these that got them from the outlet. Isn't that crazy? So he went to a Nike outlet and these were sitting there and he got them. Number 21 on the heel or on the tongue tab, absolutely incredible quality, held up overall after all these years. I mean, they look incredible. The other thing that I noticed about this shoe, Andrew, Eco Preservation, and I were talking about it, but when you take a picture of this shoe, you can't tell that it's a size 15. They scale so well. He asked me, he's like, "Is that a size 9 sample?" Because they look like they're scaled perfectly. So yeah, it's kind of a unique thing about the shoe. It just looks good even in big sizes. So this colorway is, I believe Don Sigma's favorite colorway, but my favorite is the field green.
Interesting.
But
Okay. Okay.
the most interesting garnet that we have here, though, is this pair here. So this is a sample that was made, I believe, by Aaron Cooper along with Tate and Avar. They were all working on the project. But I sent him a picture, and he said something that kind of blew my mind. He said, "Oh yeah, that's the high top sample that we were working."
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Let me take a look at that.
So
Okay.
the Garnet one was a mid that released, but this is a high top. And if you look closely,
Yeah.
it's got a higher cut.
Yeah. I'm trying.
Incredible. Like I had no idea. So I thought this sample was special because of the logo. The logo on the tongue is this Kevin Garnett logo that they opted to not use, which
Instead of the air.
exactly. But also this was it says KG in the logo. This is a KG logo that they didn't end up going with. So I thought it was special because of that. Turns out this is a prototype for the high cut. And Aaron Cooper told me he doesn't remember exactly why they were making it or who they were making it for. There's also a little bit of a difference in this circle on the medial aspect. It's a little more rounded, like
It protrudes more. It's higher. Yeah.
exactly.
I see that now. That's more flat on the GR.
And I can't tell if it's the aging or if it's the paint itself, but it might be purple instead of royal blue.
It's a gorgeous shade.
So I'm not 100% sure, but this is like a you heard it here first type thing
Yeah.
because I mean, certainly I don't think anyone knew there was a high cut of this
Okay.
other than the design team. So
Where
that's
where do you rank in your mind estimation the KG1 as an initial launch? This is a legit signature. It's got his name embroidered on the box, on the name. So where would you rank?
I think it's a great shoe. I think it's a great signature shoe, but I think the problem with when we talk about the signature lines is that Garnett kind of fell off a cliff a little bit because like the 2 was controversial and never really came out, which we'll talk.
As a segue, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
To me, it's good, but it got overshadowed by a little bit of the history. But I do think it's a great shoe. I do think it's underrated. I think there's only really like shoe people that are into this. I don't remember many people wearing the shoe as a kid. Actually, I remember seeing them all the time. All his posters he was wearing. And
Yeah.
you look at pictures of Garnett back then. So he wore these. I think he debuted them at the end of '97. So he wore these during '98. In that time, they were working on the Garnett too. And Aaron Cooper was in charge of designing that, and this was essentially the product that they came up with, which was slated to be the Garnett 2. But there was some people didn't like it. I think Garnett liked it, but maybe other people around didn't. That's Aaron Cooper's story to tell, and he says he will tell it at some point, so Imma hold you to that.
All right.
So this ended up being rebranded because they already made them. So they rebranded these as the Nike Defense Force. So they had to go back. First of all the samples said Garnett on them. There's a picture of Aaron holding the pair that had 21 from when it was a prototype at the Portland event.
Yeah.
So this was branded and made to be the Garnett 2. And then after they started making them, there was this issue where Nike didn't want it to be the Garnett 2. So they rebranded it as the Defense Force. And so the box, if you look at it, they almost like the Air Bacon.
Mhm.
It has a sticker over the box that says Defense Force, like they covered it up.
Interesting.
So yeah, it says Defense Force. That's the name of the shoe.
Got it.
So that's kind of a weird story with the Garnett too. But
Mhm.
essentially, Garnett didn't have a second model as a result. So instead of wearing a second model, he wore the Garnett one longer. So he wore that longer into the season.
Mhm.
And then he wore the Flight Posit one, which we don't have a Flight Posit one here, but he had
Yeah.
some great colorways, some GR, but then he also had like a almost like he said he felt like Batman when he wore them. They were like a all black Flight Posit one, white bottom, white check, and then KG's logo that I haven't seen on any other shoes. Like
Yep. Yep.
KG was like a slope to it
Yeah. Yeah.
on the tongue, also white. That's a personal grail of mine.
Mhm.
That's a shoe I'm looking for. So that's what he wore instead, and then he wore some various Nike models also. But he kind of extended out the Garnett one, wore some random Nike models, wore the Flight Posit one. I believe he wore the Jumpman Pro in that time.
Yep. That was 97-ish as well.
So he
Yep.
extended that period with a few different shoes until uh, he got to the Garnett 3.
Mhm.
And he was wearing the Flight Posit 2 in the Olympics, but in 2000 Olympics.
Mhm.
But in '99, he was wearing the Garnett 3.
Mhm.
So the Garnett 3 is probably the most memorable shoe that he had. I think people remember this shoe more than the Garnett 1, the public, because it had the fading color. So I think when people think of the gradient,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly. I think this gradient made it more memorable. This is an Aaron Cooper design,
Mhm.
Atom on the bottom because he said KG played with an energetic style.
Yeah.
This was probably the more memorable shoe for the public.
Mhm.
This particular version is a sales sample from back then, so it does have some small differences from the GR, including the color on the back heel is royal blue instead of navy. So some subtle changes, sample tag on the inside, but this is a 98, 99 sales sample of the Garnett 3. Did you like the Garnett 3? I used to love this shoe.
Oh, to be honest with you, late '90s, that's kind of where my collection starts to fade out. I remember them. I was like a junior, senior in high school, depending on I can't remember exactly when it debuted in '99. I think it was late '99 or so, but I could be wrong. I remember it, but I never owned a pair. It's a very beautiful, especially I think it's FTSS tagging, if I recall, but premium quality leather, tumbled leather in construction. And back when bubbles were thick, I mean, look at that chamber. Look at the Max 2 chamber. Interestingly, Garnett starts with visible heel air. Then he was supposed to transition with Max 2 heel that you just gave us the walkthrough of that chronology, and then with the 3, you see the Max 2. So you could see the progression, more comfort, stability, impact, protection. So
And Garnett says that he likes a style that has a lot of forefoot padding and not as high of a heel. So that's the reason why he didn't like the BB4 shocks when they were offered to him.
Mhm.
So the interesting thing about the Garnet 3 is that it wasn't supposed to be the Garnet 3. So the first design was actually this one right here, which is Aaron Cooper called this a unicorn, so I'll use that term. So this is basically the original Garnet 3 that was supposed to be out there, and you wouldn't believe me if I said it, but if you look close enough, you'll see it says Garnet 3 on uh, on the side of the shoe here. It says 21 to the third power, essentially. So Garnet was number 21. This was the third edition, so like 21 cubed. 5 dots for the Alpha Project. Um, Incredible design. I mean, the top of it looks like it could be from mid 2000s. It's so ahead of its time.
Mhm.
And then the midsole, the outlays with this mesh and the design is incredible. It's a great colorway. Yeah, Aaron Cooper did a whole talk or a whole post on this shoe. If you look at his profile, this color wasn't on there. So this is it is a unicorn.
Mhm.
I guess we can say that.
Mhm.
What else can we say about it? The colors are great. The story is great. I believe these came from. So I got these from China. I found
Yep.
a person that had them in China. He told me that they just leaked out of the factory. Essentially, one of the um, people that ran the factory had them.
Mhm. There's something you once said to me a long time ago, and it was something along I'm gonna paraphrase it, but it's a very Bijan's full of great quotes. You said something like, "You're not supposed to have this."
Yeah.
That's another thing about player samples is that you're not supposed to have that product. It is not meant for you. It was not intended for you. But years later, vaults are unlocked, changing of the guard, changing of hand, things happen. And now I'm in absolute awe. In fact, I'll be honest, Bijan, I know you got a lot of shoes in your collection. For me personally, and luckily it's not in my size, thank God for that. It's absolutely gorgeous. This has to be one of my favorite in your collection that objectively speaking. I love everything about it. It's got a Rolls Royce Continental lug premium luxury chassis. I I don't want to touch it. Can you hold it up? I want to say one more thing. So this is 99 and everything had visible zoom air. You had the Air Viz Zoom Up Tempo, another model that needs to come back, but probably won't because they'll likely screw it up. And then of course Andre Agassi, my hero. He won the French Open in 1999 yesterday wearing the Air Zoom Beyond. Same midsole kind of construction, visible heel and 4-foot zoom air. So that's the dogma, using that same word again, but it is what it is. That was, you mean you can't get too much of a good thing. That's what it was back then. And it's very aesthetically pleasing. It functioned well. Form follows function, and you're seeing it here. So I had to give a nod to that tech and that hue because it was used in other models too.
I would say it's almost a low top also. That's another thing that's vastly different from anything else Garnett wore. If you look, it looks like a low top.
I love the vent
The
mesh.
venting is incredible, and then the other thing, it's actually kind of a luxury touch. They sewed the components together and then inverted it to hide the seam. So that takes a lot of time and craftsmanship to do that. Maybe that's the reason why they didn't do it. Maybe it was just, too expensive or too much work. That's possible.
Yep.
So yeah, these aren't supposed to be out. Nobody's supposed to know these exist, but I was lucky enough to
Yeah.
find them. So that's the Garnett history at Nike, believe it or not. After that, Garnett 3 left in what, 2000, 2001 to join And One.
Mhm. And then I can't remember Anta. He moved around a lot.
He was with And One for a while. Anta wasn't until like 2010.
I think I jumped Adidas. He was with Adidas. He
Yeah,
really wrote.
2004 he went Adidas.
Yeah. In all, he's one of my all-time favorite basketball players. The big ticket. In fact, here's a little pop quiz. We were talking about the Flight Posit 2. His player sample as a shout out to South Carolina. Do you remember what it had on the tab by chance? Do you remember what he used to? It was kind of like his mnemonic, his expression. Yeah,
Oh yeah, his family. Yeah, yeah,
official block family.
yeah. And that's on the bottom. That's on the bottom of the Garnett 3 OBF.
Nice.
The Flight Posit 2 was the shoe he wore in the Olympics. He wore the navy and gold,
Mhm.
which did come out online. Like Nike's website had that shoe for sale. I remember seeing it, even though I wasn't sure if it was a team bank or what. Information back then was a lot more nebulous. Like you had to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
So these are two versions of the Garnet, or excuse me, the Flight Posit 2. It sort of became his unofficial shoe, which I'm sure has its whole other story. So this version right here is a team bank, pair NCAA or NBA team bank. On the back, it says Garnett, and then you get the 5 dots for the Alpha Project on the side. This white and red color was, again, not released public. It was a team bank. Uh, but this pair right here is even more unique, actually. This is a wear test sample from when they were designing the shoe, size 13, actually, which is very unusual for a wear test. Also has the Alpha Dot or Alpha Project dots on the side. But what does the back say? Instead of saying Garnett,
Flight Posit.
it says Flight Posit.
Interesting.
And the other thing that's unique is the trim on this shoe. I don't recall a Flight Posit that ever had metallic copper like this.
Mm.
Right? We talk about like copper foam posits, and that was a modern thing. But this shoe, and I can prove it because the box literally says it, is
Mhm.
white midnight navy metallic copper. So that's not aging. These dots, this color, this is all designed. It's metallic copper.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is a wear test sample.
Love it. Nice.
A lot of Aaron Cooper in
Yeah.
the Garnett tree, and also
Yeah.
Garnett used to call AC Merlin like a wizard because
Mhm.
he would come up with these incredible designs. So
Mhm.
a lot of history there.
Yeah, you filled it with a lot of interesting facts that I didn't know any other. interesting facts, or did we cover all of our bases? A lot of information here. Kind of,
I mean, I think the biggest piece is just that I found out this was a high top, like, they were
yeah,
working on the high top sample, like, that's crazy, and I couldn't now that he told me, I can't unsee it.
yeah,
You know, I was
that's
looking for
true.
other differences. There's some subtle differences in the shape, but,
Yeah.
that might just be because this is a size 9.
So you said that the field green is your favorite. For me personally, I think the '98 All-Star Game colorway, this is obviously a sample, but this is very similar, if not near or exact to the '98 All-Star Game colorway. So it's again one of the greatest All-Star games in history. Kobe versus the GOAT, Mike. And there was a very famous sequence where Bob Costas is on the play call and Garnett throws the lob to Kobe, and it's just a gorgeous play. And you could see Kevin, who had a wheel, what is it called? A wheel, can't remember what they call it, but like a windmill.
The
A
windmill.
windmill. He had a windmill breakaway jam. Kevin Garnett did in the game, and he wore on full display the KG one in that colorway. So personally, and I just love that hint of it's like a violet blue, ultramarine
Yeah.
bluish.
I think this one might be purple, to be honest. It looks a little different than the other ones I've seen, but it could just be the aging, who knows?
Mhm.
Like, it's hard to know. I think my favorite Garnet shoe of all is probably gonna be the Garnet 3 also. I think the black one with the blue gradient is probably my favorite of all the Garnet shoes, but the field green is my favorite Garnet 1.
Mhm.
And I like the Flight Posit 1 and 2 a lot, but,
Mhm.
we'll say those are not Garnet shoes, he just wore them, even though his name is on 'em.
Mhm.
So, let's talk about that then. What makes a shoe a signature shoe? Because everyone keeps talking about this.
Yeah.
So, does it have this shoe has Garnett's name on it. Is it a Garnett signature? What about the Flight Posit 1? Like, what does it do to the lineage? So,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's hard to put rules on it. What's your stance?
So if you want to take like a classical, textbook definition, then it should have the player's name. But I believe in shades of gray. Sometimes life is not black and white, contrary to what others think. So I look at the totality. I look at branding. I look at labeling on the pair. I also look at the the mental association. Like if an entire generation affiliate a particular model with a player, or if they were the only player that wore a model, for example, you could make an argument, at least I have in my mind, to call a pair at least part of someone's line. As an aside, you have the Agassi line, didn't have Agassi's name there, but we talk about logo, we talk about trademark, we talk about like cultural awareness. When KG won gold medal, and that was a great USA Olympic performance. That USA team was loaded, and their kicks, GP, that's another, but those guys wore some amazing footwear at the turn of the millennium, 2000, right? Yeah, I mean, Sydney Olympics, and I certainly personally associate Kevin with the flight posit too. Um, so but that is perhaps an individual conversation. Everyone may have a different story, but I look at multiple factors at play in terms of whether or not I call something or include.
So, is that a yes?
If it has his name, I will, and it's associated with a major iconic um individual event like gold medal, I'll give it the nod.
Okay, so our friends Bobby and T were talking about this with the foam posit
Mhm,
because the foam posit one, I mean, we called them penny foams, right? Like when we
mhm.
were growing up. The royal blue one, he's the only one that wore it. It was called the foam posit one. He was number one. It had his logo on the back. I think it's a signature shoe
It
for
is. It is. It is.
it's got to be. But then I flip flop a little, I guess, because this Flight Posit 2 says Garnett's name on it. But to me,
With OBF branding, and his PE had, or yeah, his
yes,
PE versions had like customizations
so
and
PE versions, they could write whatever. I mean, what came out to the public is how I determined what a signature was, right? Like this shoe said Garnett's name on it, but I don't think it's a Garnett signature. To me, it's not because the Flight Posit 1 wasn't. How could the Flight Posit 2? Like it's the Flight Posit lineage. I don't know. Am I crazy?
I know you're not crazy. If either of us are crazy, it's me. And it's kind of like the movie Speed when Dennis Hopper said, Poor people are crazy, Jack. I'm eccentric. I'm just a little eccentric. Let me say this: I didn't bring them, but I own 3 pairs of the Orion Blue colorway. All of them have OBF on them on the tabs. So that's Kevin right there. I'm sorry. I mean, that's KG. That's KG. I mean, it's a debate. It's a great debate, but we care too much about this stuff. That's what makes us crazy. We do care. I like I said, I look at the totality. Colorways too matter. I mean, if it's exclusive to a particular team, it does. It's not the first pair that comes to mind. For me, it's just going to be the KG1, and yeah, obviously it's got his branding and the name, but this is all part of the mix. I'm sorry, I feel like you can't not include the flight posit model if you're talking about KG. It's got to
It
be mentioned.
it would be a great signature shoe, like, the tech in the shoe is incredible, carbon fiber shank, the revolutionary material, again, like, this zip-up era, this is 2000, but still, I mean, this is, like, the end of that zip-up era, a glove on the outside that holds your feet, right, essentially. So, there's a lot of tech in this shoe, there's a lot of history with the shoe. It wasn't as popular as the Flightposite one, but, I mean, I still think it's a great shoe, great design. Um, love it.
I concur.
Okay, so we'll disagree on if it's a signature or not, but I think we're both right at the end of the day. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, that's the Garnett lineage with Nike. Um, I personally stopped paying attention after that, I'll be honest, but these are the shoes that were important to me. These are the ones from our collection that we put together to give you guys a nice view of all the history, all the examples, and maybe in this case, all the things that could have been. So, thanks for checking it out.